Good afternoon, Don't Unfriend Me Nation. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show, and happy Thanksgiving if I don't talk to you. We will be live Wednesday tonight. We'll see about the rest of the week. It really depends. We keep getting news like this. Niagara Falls, folks, you know, near Buffalo, New York. You know, have you been there? Honeymooners, sweethearts, taking a plunge over the Niagara Falls falls. I don't think they do that anymore, but well, what they do is have car bombs, I guess. Terrorist attack? Accident? Overblown? No pun intended. We don't know. And you're not going to know because the fog of war is in full effect. And like Dan Bongino, I hold the absolute same stance that you shouldn't make predictions, predilections, or premonitions during this time. You should assess and review. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to assess, we're going to review, and I've got some questions. I'm not going to make any grandiose statements. Fox, CNN, and all the talking heads out there who pretend that they know what they're talking about will be doing that for you. I will not. Stick around. I'll be back in 15 seconds.
Do you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more f***ed up than the lies on the evening news? Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up.
Don't you love it when you get a news flash in your intro that, once again, all the information is not out on this, and it won't be for a while. We've got a long way to go. This is the area that was hit. This is the Rainbow Bridge. It is a border crossing area into Canada and or into Buffalo, depending upon which side of the border you are on. First questions are probably abundant for most people, and we'll hold on to those until we get to the nuts straight. But there's like glaring questions right now that I have in regards to this car bomb that went off. The pics are in, and there are things you would expect. Fuselage, engine, some exterior body parts. There looks to be a chassis in the lower third picture. And then obviously there is a fire. These are taken at multiple occasions, multiple times. The fire is something you would expect, depending upon the size of the bomb, depending upon how aggressive and how fast moving it was, really will depend whether you have a secondary fire. In this case, obviously there is. This fire could be seen from quite a long ways away. We've got some different video to show you and walk you through it. First, I want you to listen to Fox News as they are avoiding the 48 or 24-hour and fog of war rule completely and already making predictions as high-level officials have made statements. And honestly, this is what they do. Listen to this.
Alexis McAdams is reporting that according to high-level police sources, the explosion was an attempted terrorist attack. A lot of explosives in the vehicle at the time. The two people who were...
How do you know that? How do you know there were a lot of explosives? How do you know it's a terrorist attack if you haven't been able to interview the drivers and they're both dead? And I'm assuming there was an explosion. Have you ID'd body parts? I mean, there's a lot here. This just happened. We're looking at about an hour and 10 minutes posthumous from this video. I just want people to calm down. And I think when we do the nuts straight, it will help explain everything. But let's keep listening to what Fox is peddling.
In the car, our deceased one Border Patrol officer was injured. Driving from the U.S. apparently to Canada, and we're trying to drive toward the CBP building. So all bridges in the area have been closed. All government buildings in the area have been evacuated.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alexis McAdams.
And they're stopping a lot of government buildings in the area. Obviously, they're worried about a secondary event. What does this mean? We'll get to it in the nuts. Here is another video of inside the Rainbow Bridge building, which is interesting to me because I want you to listen to the level of calm in these two voices, how he assesses. He's worried about his own car. And this guy is a rock throw away from this event. And as an explosion of this magnitude that would tear apart a vehicle, it's a little strange to me why they aren't extremely clear as what's going on. There would be glass everywhere, a concussive event, secondary explosions, because we obviously have a gas explosion too. If there was this huge, massive explosion, why are they so calm? Let's listen.
Never seen anything like this.
So once again, let me go back real quick. Once again, I want you to look at that first image And right underneath here, you're going to see that fire and how it's a pool of gasoline, obviously, because you can see the curvature, that there's some sort of, there's liquidity to this. This isn't a piece of rubber or the actual ground on fire based upon surface level tar or an oil slick or something of that effect. More than likely gasoline. You can tell by the acrid color of the smoke that it's not too hot, and it's obviously black because it is consuming something that isn't necessarily based upon heat source, but overall fuel, which would be something that extenuates the fire itself and makes it continue to go because it is a combustible type material. That's interesting to me because in an explosion, you usually find secondary fires, but those are done because the initial explosion was so fast, so intense, that it would push the fire out or spray matter with gasoline or anything else, and it would vaporize and then ultimately catch on any consumables in the area, things like plants or trees or maybe some rubbish or garbage on the side, something to that effect. But this is interesting because that pool of gas has stayed very, very close to the epicenter of the explosion, and to me that is that's strange. Let's watch the rest. I keep skipping the video. I have a new pedal board and it's driving me crazy. I want to show you that next slide, obviously.
I've never seen anything like this. The car just exploded.
So I've never seen anything like this. The car just exploded. I want you to take a look at the awnings that are all glass. Those are completely intact. Look at the vehicles surrounding. All the glass is intact. You don't see any debris field that's pushing out past the epicenter of this. Weird.
Yeah.
You also know this is a fuel fire too, because you can see there's been a great deal of rain and the entire Northeast, including Virginia, got a bunch of rain. So there's going to be some ancillary winds that are making that fire vortex. Obviously, you see that. But that's also very common in liquid burns where there's a fuel source. Something's not right. And once again, speculation. I don't know. And that's why I'm watching and you're watching with me. Oh, I did it again. I have got to stop. I think the pedal this video, you guys are like, what is this? This is a Mickey Mouse operation.
Car
this guy
rider.
doesn't know what he's doing. You're right.
No idea. Could that be an That is my car rider.
The gray one?
Yeah, the gray one. I just hope it doesn't spread.
It won't go here.
What could have happened? Jesus.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
So at this point, they're treating it like a fire or, something to that effect, not an explosion. And they are very, very close. If there was a large concussive explosion, you would see more than likely all the glass around that area. Explosions don't go up and then go, oh, wow, there's an awning. I'm going to go ahead and push out. And it's an incredible amount of force, and it is moving an extreme amount of energy, and a small awning isn't going to survive if this is a large explosion like Fox News said. Now we can go to the next slide. The FBI, the Buffalo field office, is investigating a vehicle explosion at the Rainbow Bridge. This is a statement they put out. A border crossing between the U.S., Canada, and Niagara Falls. The FBI is coordinating with our local, state, and federal law enforcement. You can just change the names. Situation is very fluid. That's all we can say at this time. They have this statement. It comes out. You can see the location here, that it is across that Rainbow International Bridge, which connects the two countries, but also the two areas here where there is a border crossing. You can also see that there is an extreme amount of smoke, and it is laying pretty low level to the ground, which means that the outside air temperature is cooling it down before it can reach a certain elevation and be propelled upwards based by the heat signature source. All indications of a gasoline or type of fire like that, not necessarily an explosion. Let's get to the nuts, because this is going to help us break it down and make sure. Everyone relax. Nobody knows what has truly happened, and we're not going to know for a while. The story's going to change. It already has. I will go ahead and tell you a little bit about that in just a second. I've got to keep things in order. This is speculative from here on out. Of course, we need to look into this with the utmost fervor, and it could be a distraction event for something bigger. And I think that's on what's most of our minds. The explosion is concerning based on the collateral and secondary cosmetic damage that isn't there. It makes me question their validity of the initial reports. Was it an explosion? Was this a vehicle that came in at a high rate of speed? Interesting. We'll talk about that. People 25 yards away would have felt an explosion and heard it. Lots of glass remains intact. We would also more than likely see that the alarms in the buildings would go off. There would be an announcement. All of these things, these precautionary, devices would immediately warn people that there was some sort of attack that took place, and nothing at all. You hear security come in at the end of the video, but that's pretty much it. It is obvious by the debris field that an explosion took place, we could assume, but what type? Whether this was Anfro or C4 or other types of nefarious explosive products really depends upon the debris field and how fast it's moving, whether it's a slower moving explosion with more force or a faster moving explosion, which kind of moves through objects and pushes objects, versus a slow mover, which tears objects apart. This one, to me, seems to be an extremely slow-moving explosive device, which would lead me to believe something more of like TNT, Anfro, or an internal explosion, like a car engine or something to that effect, or gasoline reserve that could actually explode and tear the car apart, but not necessarily do a ton of damage on the outside. Once again, don't know. This will take some time to figure it out, and the authorities are looking at it. Reports just recently came out, just now, I just had a chance to read that the vehicle entered at a high rate of speed and then exploded on impact. So it kind of goes against the explosion narrative that it was a bomb. I want to see the video footage. This is going to determine what happened very, very quickly. Until we see that, nobody knows. So I would ask us once again, lastly, just all need to be alert and stay frosty. This may be an isolated incident, but I think everyone who has been watching the border and the Middle East closely knows that this may become a harsh reality, a speculative one, but still a reality nonetheless. This event doesn't give me much hope that we can't expect more of the same in the future. But once again, we don't know until we know. I will keep you abreast of everything, and you do me a favor and watch. Folks, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Let's enjoy it with our family. Let's not worry about these type of things. We don't have much control over them. The FBI will do what they always do, and they'll treat us like mushrooms, feed us shit, and keep us in the dark. And we will pretend that we're going to get the answer. And we may 9-10 months from now when nobody cares. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Give me a like, share, follow, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. My name is Matthew Spear. I'm your host. Have a great one. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.